While we're waiting, I push my boulder up a hill, and I'm debating whether I'd get further off by standing still. So while you're waiting for acknowledgement from anyone, some needed more than you and didn't get enough when they were young. While we're waiting, I take my time, I take yours too. For all the words I speak, I never feel as though I'm getting through. While we're waiting for a lesson about less is more, I am guessing it's calamity and danger you adore. And what for? One window closing can still open door. I'm gonna sit right down and share myself with you. I'm gonna show you who I am, I really am. I'm gonna listen to my face is blue. I'm gonna give you all I can. While we're waiting, tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait right here, stand in line with you. While we're waiting, I glance around, there's lots to see. I take it all in as I wonder what's in front of me. As future turns to history, I figure out how much more I can be.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Please have a seat. Make yourself to home. My name is Dave J. from New York City. Songwriter, performer, storyteller, characters. You kidding? Welcome to another installment number 6, in fact, of Dave J. Tuesday. We're raring to get going, and that's just what we're gonna do, Buster. I like using that word, Buster. It really, it just, nobody's using the word Buster anymore, Since the Buster Brown passed away, I guess. In any case, let me know who you are, how you're doing, all that good stuff in the commenter section below. Sadly, our good friend, well, not sadly, it's for good reason. I don't want to alarm you, but our good friend Beetle Mike won't be able to make it tonight. He's here at every performance, and he always says, hey, Dave J, Beetle Mike here, yeah, and I do the arm just like that for yeah. I've worked that out, and I've had some choreography sessions in order to work that in properly. In any case, he is at his grandson River's football game. We're like family here, so please do get involved, and you too shall become part of the family. It's like a cult. Anyway, I don't want to waste any more time because we've got so much planned. As usual, I told you in our last installment and in promos leading up to this one that we were going to conclude. I got the little nervous jitter in the voice there. Jitters! Okay, I'm very excited. That's all it is. I'm doing just fine. That we're going to conclude with our tales about my internship at Saturday Night Live in the year circa 1989. I told you all about the musical guest interactions I'd had with the writers and so forth, but I realized that I had left a number of tales out. So we are going to go with our main idea of the Tuesday Tale. I could have gone with the Tuesday Postscript, but I'm going to go with Tuesday Tale. If you've been watching, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you're like, what the? I got to catch up. Wait a second, is there a glossary? Check this out. There we are. It's the Tuesday Tale, and we're going to leave on where we left off. What I'm trying to say is I was trying to share with you last week some extra work I had done, and the very first extra work I had done at Saturday Night Live was for my good friend Mr. Tom Schiller. There he is. That's right. There's Tom. I'm raising my glass back at you, pal. He's doing very well. Corresponded with him not too terribly long ago, and of course he is the creator of the great film Nothing Lasts Forever. I couldn't quite remember. It was on the tip of my brain last week. Couldn't quite get it, but now I remember. Nothing Lasts Forever. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Imogen Coca's in it. A whole slew of stars, and it's a really cool flick. So I recommend you check it out. If you can find it, you should be able to find it. Just look under the N, and in the Dewey Decimal System, I'm sure you will find it. In any case, I'm going to share with you the piece in which he created, and this was very indicative of a very stylistic piece that he had done. And first, let me show you the intro that I worked up as I did last week, and here it is. Very artsy, isn't it? In any case, I tried to share this with you. Apparently, the files were either too big, they were lagging, there were technical issues, so I've broken it down into 4 segments. Here's segment 1. This is part of a 5-part series. This is, I believe, episode 4, and I think you'll get the gist. They catch you up. Enjoy it.
Schiller Vision, in connection with the General Electric Company, presents Broadway Story, a tale of the Great White Way and the glamorous men and women who live it.
The 5-skinner will live forever.
Okay. I'd forgotten I'd cut it down into much shorter segments and where they were cut. Well, in any case, so there's the setup. Broadway Story. There is Tristan Phibes and his arch nemesis, Belmont, and who owns the theater. Belmont is played by Lovitz. You'll see him in just a moment. Matter of fact, let's not waste any more time. Let's go with professional showbiz. No, seriously, let's go with part 2. Well, it's getting very tense. It's getting very serious. What's going on? Will they survive? Before I show you part 3 of 4, I wanted to point out the extra role that I had was filling in for the actor who had played Pops. This was played by featured player A. Whitney Brown. There's A. Whitney. He was often appearing on Weekend Update. Funny little story real quick before I conclude with parts 3 and 4. A. Whitney Brown had confused me with Mike Myers, who you saw in that last clip as the paper boy, the kid there, and he thought I was Mike Myers on the very first day of the show. So he had a running gag with me throughout the season about doing material on the show, because he didn't realize I was the intern. And then because of that, and because he was always around that writer's wing, he would sometimes ask me what I thought of. He would read me a piece for Weekend Update that he had written, and just to get my feedback. I guess he was just bouncing it, which I really appreciated. After all, I was the intern, right? And wasn't expecting anyone to sort of treat me in such a way. So it was great. And when I was in college, well, what I mean to say is before my internship, when I had been at college for a few years, this was my 3rd year of college when I was at my internship. My freshman year, I had been started on a sketch comedy show called The Nothing Special, and the producer was a guy named Danny DeVito. He now goes by Danny Vermont, because there's already a short, squat Danny DeVito. He's the tall, skinny Danny DeVito. Svelte, I meant to say. And Danny would point out, we would always talk comedy. We would talk a lot of shop, and Danny had pointed out at one point that, you know, we would talk about words, for example, that were funny. And Danny had pointed out at one conversation, not, you know, he would say dookie, not shit, dookie, right? And I'd never heard the word dookie before, so I said, I kind of filed it away. Well, now I'm an intern at Saturday Night Live, and A. Whitney Brown reads his piece to me, and all I can remember about the piece was that in it, one of the punchlines was a bunch of monkey duty, and he finishes his piece, and he says, so what do you think? And I go, just one thing. Not monkey duty, monkey dookie. And he goes, monkey duty. He wasn't having it from the intern. Well, okay, let's, was it worth me really sharing all that? Danny DeVito Vermont, whichever you want to call him, I miss him. He was like a big brother, and if you're out there, Danny, you know, send your carrier pigeon. We should get in touch. But because I miss it, and I miss the conversations and all the references and all the great stuff, one beautiful thing that Danny did that I'll never forget, always has meant a lot to me, is when I originally got the internship and the news that I got the internship. I went home for, I got it at the end, it's the end of the first semester, so it was December, and we go home for winter break, and I get home, and in my mailbox one day is a package from Danny. And what is it? It's a Coral Records 45 record of Buddy Holly, Every Day. And I still have that. I still have it over there. I love that thing, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you, Danny. Anyway, continuing on with Broadway Story, here's part 3. Only Be One Man. Now, that was me as Pops, because A. Whitney Brown apparently had more important things to do. Perhaps he had some sort of angina appointment with his angina specialist. I don't know. Monkey duty? Come on, A. Whitney. Or shall I call you A for short? And we all know what that might stand for. Oh, no, come on. I didn't mean it like that. You see what resentment does to a soul? In any case, no, A. Whitney Brown was a good guy, and I enjoyed his company around the offices and felt bad for him when he didn't get something on the air. But he couldn't make it to that shoot, so Schiller sent for me. Somebody came and got me, and I think it was his producer, Danica was her name, and she said, Tom wants to know if you're willing to be in his film. I'm like, oh, really? Oh my God! You know, can you believe it? Right? I've made it! I've arrived! Well, in any case, I played Pops' dead body double. There he was, and so let's check out part 4. No, you know what? Before we do, just in case you missed it, here's what I look like as a dead body double as Pops. There we are. There we are. Now here it is a little closer. Oh, yes, yes. That's what I look like, dead and blurry. You won't see me dead and buried, but dead and blurry, there you go, dead and blurry. Okay, enough of that nonsense. Let's get on with the show, part 4. Enjoy. There you are. Let's hear it for Tom Schiller and an amazing cast. I mean, each of them did a great job. I mean, really, every little expression. They really captured the vintage film in a way that I admire. I've always admired about Tom Schiller. Many people do. Moving along, is anybody in the house? I know my parents must be here. Maybe some people will watch it in reruns. Do comment in the commenter section below. We will be getting to your comments. I would like to hear from you. Thoughts, fantasies. I'd like to know your deepest fears. That would be very helpful to use against you at a future date that you're not expecting. You know, where you are, how you're doing amongst this entire crapdemic. They won't let up from the lockdowns, here in New York City anyway. But continuing on, one thing that I told you about last week was my interactions with Conan O'Brien. There he is, me and Conan at the final cast party. But what I did fail to share with you is that I had found that photo a couple years back, and I decided while I was recording for my Open-Hearted Broken Record LP, I would sit with my friend Lenny. I said, listen, I came up with this little tune because I found this photo. I wrote a little song about it. So here's a song I wrote called When I Met Conan O'Brien. Not one of my best, but check it out.
When I met Conan O'Brien, we worked at SNL. He was a writer who shared an office, and I was the intern from hell. Well, now the years have floated by, this old picture resurfaced, so I wrote a song about it. This picture was taken on May 21st, 1989. I seemed to be wearing a polo tie, quite stylish at the time. It appears that Conan is a fan of the Bears, the basketball champs of wheelchairs. If you wonder why I'd write Conan a tune, for barely having known him, well, I'm not so picayune. Besides which I was bored and had little else to do, now at least created something new. The next I see Conan O'Brien, I think I'll share this song. No matter degrees of separation or however long, 'cause we have a special bond locked in this photograph. The few memories are at least good for a laugh. Maybe a chortle, a minor guffaw, a good smirk when I met Conan O'Brien.
Okay, continuing on with the program, how are you? I'm concerned about you. Are you feeling well? I hope you are. Okay, that was a care cam, I guess you could say. Just made that up. I think I like it. I think I'll work something in later in another episode. But for now, let's move along, shall we? We shall. Just as Conan was a writer who appeared in many sketches, there was a writer who appeared every week on Weekend Update. Of course, I'm speaking of Dennis Miller. There he is right there on Weekend Update. You remember him. He was great, and he went on to do great things, including the NFL broadcasts on Monday Night Football with his good vocabulary. In any case, good word of the day. Word of the day. Sometimes I like to just keep it simple. Dennis was a really nice guy when I was an intern. I'm sure he was a nice guy the following year. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. Don't touch your eye, Dave. It could be Corona. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, 2 weeks from now on this show, I may be announcing my virus. But anyway, till then, let's keep rolling, shall we? Where I had been told, don't speak to the writers, don't speak to the cast members, Dennis would be the first to speak with me. That's right. I'd come in on Saturday morning. That's when he really got going with Weekend Update. However, all throughout the week, people were submitting Weekend Update jokes to him, the writers. I know that the receptionist, this guy Gregory Greenberg, who ended up working with Dennis later on his HBO TV show, and we ran into Greg on the bus 5 or 6 years ago. My wife and I, we were dating at the time, and we were crossing town on the bus, and here was Greg on the bus, and oh my God, Greg Greenberg, well, how are you? I always looked up to him because he was always giving me he was a little bit Danny DeVito-ish in that he was always giving me we were talking shop, we were talking comedy. No offense to Greg, but he was no Danny DeVito. Danny lived and breathed comedy, as I'm sure he still does. But Greg, he lived and breathed, he seemed to get it. Anyway, it was all I could get. I wasn't allowed to talk to the writers. So there you are. He was a nice enough man, don't get me wrong. Except 5 or 6 years ago on the bus, he starts hitting on my wife. And it was very obvious. It was overt. Overt word of the day. Word of the day. How many words of the day can we have? You decide in the commenter section below. How many shall we have? Let's go for the record. That's what I say. I'm excessive. That's my thing with a G on the end. But anyway, how do you spell thing? Let me know in the commenter section below. What can I do to get you to comment? You know what? I think I'm going to start pre-recording these shows because there's no sense in doing it live when no one's being alive in the thing. But anyway, enough of me transgressing. Okay, so, transgressing? Word of the day. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I don't think it was the proper word, so we'll disqualify it as word of the day and continue about Dennis Miller and what else I was going to tell you about. Dennis, as you know, did Weekend Update, and I found out from Gregory Greenberg there that I, too, could write some jokes and submit them to Dennis, but not as me. I would have to just type them up anonymously. Back then we used typewriters, and slip it under his office door. And this is what I did. And so here's a segment that I introduced a few weeks ago called the Weekday Update, because it's Tuesday, it's a weekday, and here's the bumper for that.
And now, Weekday Update with Dave J.
So here are some jokes I submitted to Dennis. Only one of them made it to dress rehearsal. Sadly, none of them made it on air. In an effort to salvage his political career, Japanese Prime Minister Noboru Takashita recently resigned and apologized to his nation. Wait a second. There we are. For participating in a huge money politics scandal. He said that he knew what he did was wrong and that nobody should have to taki that kind of shita from anyone. Sorry about that. I got distracted. I hit a wrong button. I don't know if we're still on the air. I believe we are. I'm going to do that again, since nobody's watching. I want to read that joke correctly. Here we go. In an extra effort to salvage his political career, Japanese Prime Minister Noboru Takashita recently resigned and apologized to his nation for participating in a huge money politics scandal. He said that he knew what he did was wrong and that nobody should have to taki that kind of shita from anyone. Now here's the article that accompanied the idea for the joke. I read the article on the right from the Star Ledger in New Jersey, where we lived at the time. And here's the joke. A home heating tank leaked fuel oil into a Parsippany Troy Hills creek yesterday, but the spill was contained quickly by the township volunteers, said authorities. The home belongs to none other than President of Exxon Shipping, oh goodness gracious, Frank Iarosi. Goodness gracious. See, the thing is, at the time, there was a big Exxon Valdez spill. It spilled oil all over the place in the big Gulf over there. You see? You have to know cultural literacy. You have to have cultural literacy in order to keep up. It's very difficult for me to do a show where no one is there. When it's live and I have people and I have an audience, I'm alive. Otherwise, I'm like one of those stones from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom where it's not near any of the other rocks and it's just fallow. It's Mia fallow, and it's just sitting there dark. But if it gets near the other stones are my audience, and then I have the stones, baby. You know what I mean. Well, nonetheless, we have to continue because we've begun. We have to finish what we've started. This is my credo. Credo, word of the day.
Word of the day.
All right, let's continue on, shall we? Let's get through this. Here's a joke that harks back to my childhood. And the talk show of the day, everyone had a talk show. When Carson was starting to wane towards the end there, or wind down, I should say, when he was bringing his career's plane in for a landing, a bunch of others got shows like Joan Rivers and this fella, Pat Sajak. Here's the joke. I can't speak. Sajak sued by Chuckle Patch. Pat Sajak will be in court this week as he has been sued for stealing material for his monologues on the Pat Sajak Show. The lawsuit was issued by the Chuckle Patch from the old children's show, The Magic Garden. Among those testifying will be Sherlock the Squirrel and the show's hosts, Paula and Laura. Extra charges have been brought up on Sajak for offering Sherlock, quote, all the peanuts he can eat, and then some, not to testify. I'm not even going to do the ba-dum-bump. These are lame. This is why I went into writing and performing music, by the way. I was never happy with the comedy material I wrote. That Takashita joke, I remember doing it on stages in the China Chalet, in open mics around New York City, back before they were in comedy clubs. They were in little dive bars. I used to go around with the aforementioned Danny DeVito, Vermont. Alan Gerstein, my dad, says, Takashita, ha ha ha. All right, give me a little bit of something, a little magic to bounce off of, and I appreciate it. It's my parents, for God's sakes. They're being good parents. They're being responsible. I kind of always liked the Taki, that kind of Sheeta from anyone. There was a bar on Hudson Street that Danny brought me to after my internship during that summer. My God, I hung out a lot with Danny DeVito, and goodness gracious, we just had so much fun. I had so much fun. I don't know what kind of time he had. I don't know if he remembers it. We went to Lushow's we hung out all night, then we went to this diner called Lushow's. Anyway, on the East Village, something like that. Anyway, one more joke. This is the one that made it to dress rehearsal with Dennis. He actually put it in on dress rehearsal. And this joke is dated. Check it out. Not too long ago, it was announced that due to the overwhelming popularity of the telephone-operated fax mail system, the United States Postal Service is expected to be put out of business. In response to that statement, a spokesperson for the post office revealed plans to issue a new stamp commemorating the anticipated close of the post office. What are you going to do? And here I am fumfering over words and everything. Oh, goodness gracious. You can't imagine the stress of putting a show like this together. By the way, I bet that wasn't even my dad saying Takashita, ha ha ha. I bet that was Mom doing it. That's that maternal energy. Dad, was that you? Could have been Mom. Excuse me, could have been a team effort. Doesn't matter. We're all here, the three of us. All right, I wanted to continue on and tell you about a couple other lads. In those days, they were featured players. They went on both individually to come up with great careers. Where's the bumper? Here. I'm talking, of course, about Mike Myers and Ben Stiller. Check out this little bit they did on Dennis Miller's Weekend Update.
And now, Weekend Update's two new movie critics. Please welcome Mike Myers and Ben Stiller. Hi, boys.
First off, let me start off by saying we're going to be reviewing Rain Man, and I know it got, all the Oscars, Best Picture and everything, but frankly, I thought it was boring.
Really, Ben? I thought it was pretty good,
Well, yeah, it's not a bad film.
No, it's a good film. It's a good film. Okay.
Good, but
I'll give you Dustin Hoffman, Dustin Hoffman, he wins the Academy Award. I thought he was
deserving.
Very good. Very good.
Great.
I thought he was...
he was...
excellent, as a matter of
you don't
fact.
see anything better than that.
No way. You do not.
Kidding?
No. And I thought Tom Cruise was...
man.
He was sucked. Not very good at all. Not very good. No.
What was he doing?
I don't
there?
know. Here's a quarter, Tom. Buy a clue. I don't know what the hell is going on.
But see, for me, it was the pacing. I thought the pacing was like...
Fast.
Oh, it was quick.
Quick.
It was
Wasn't
quick.
it? It was quick. It was like this.
Then it started going like that.
This, and then it was...
And then it would just drag.
Slow.
It would
So
slow down
don't you
to
think?
like
Just
nothingness, and it was what was happening there.
nothing.
That was.
No, I don't know. The direction was...
It was.
Well, there you have it, a little taste of what they did. And after that show, I remember the after party was at a club/bar way down on Broadway called the Odeon. And, of course, Saturday Night Live used to rent out an entire restaurant or club to have their after party at 1 in the morning on through the wee hours of the night. And so I went up to Ben Stiller, and I loved that gag. I thought it had... Probably at the time, I thought it had something that reflected our generation. It just might have been that it was the two young guys who were in their 20s, their early to mid 20s. I think Mike Myers was 26 years old in that clip, and Ben Stiller probably a few years his junior, I would guess. But I went up to Ben and I was like, that was great! I loved it. Now in retrospect, I see it was just the shtick element. The whole gag was, as you could see, I think, was, they didn't know, they wanted to be secure in what they thought. So like, he was good. That's how I always remembered it. Like, they didn't want to commit to a feeling about the Rain Man film until the other sort of okayed it, visually. So I loved that. I watched it and I was like, yes, because in perfect candor, Schiller and I used to walk around the offices together, and he would call it Saturday Night Dead, Saturday Night Loathe, all the things that the interim years would get these terrible headlines like that at the New York Post and Washington Post and things of that nature. And Schiller was sort of unto himself. He eventually got fired by fax, he told me. Oh my God. He was on since the beginning of the show and he gets fired by fax. I'm sorry to break it here on Dave J. Tuesday, but you heard it here first. And I'm sorry, Tom, if I said something out of line. That's just my way. And it's why I haven't made it in showbiz. In any case, perhaps one of several reasons they have it in for me, I tell you. Let's continue on. So Ben Stiller is who I wanted to tell you about, because Ben bought me a nice 7 and 7. It sounds like I've drank a bunch of 7 and 7s tonight. I can't put a sentence together. I sound like Joe Biden. I have had a Jack Daniels or two. In any case, Ben Stiller, I said to him, God, that was great. That was like a bit for our generation. Of course, I didn't realize my generation at that point. I was thinking 1950s. That's my way. I wasn't really reflecting my generation. I never have. Apparently, as it turns out, years and decades later, I reflect what came before. But in any case, and Ben Stiller is Stiller and Mira's kid, and they reflect a prior generation, and it's possible Ben picked up a few bits. I don't know if that was his gag. I'm not sure who wrote that, but I'd be curious to find out. In any case, Ben Stiller was a unique presence at that show because he was a featured player for only 3 shows, as I remember it. He really wanted to direct films. He came to Saturday. I cannot put a sentence together. Goodness gracious. Let me have some water. I think I need a few cups of coffee. I later found out he came to Saturday Night Live because he had been in a Broadway show. John Lovitz, who was a cast member, saw him in the Broadway show. Ben, who was a filmmaker, wanted to direct. He knew at that point that was his path that he wanted. And he told Lovitz that he wanted to make films for Saturday Night Live, and that if Lovitz would let Lorne know, well, Lorne ended up putting Ben on as a featured player, I think probably to Ben Stiller's surprise. So Ben worked as hard as he could, and I believe was trying to represent what he saw as our generation, because later on during one of those anniversary specials, they've done one for the 15th anniversary, 25th, 40th, you may recall, Rolling Stone magazine did interviews with all these different cast members over the years, and I later read Ben saying, they just didn't get my generation's humor. Wednesdays, as I told you in a previous show, would be the read-through for all the sketches that had been written up to that point. And on the show that Dolly Parton hosted, I told you in a previous show, a great story about my interaction with Dolly and Lorne Michaels. Here they are together. Dolly had been in a movie, as you may recall, called 9 to 5. It was great. Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda. She was a big supporter of the Vietnam War, right? Yes, I'm sure she was. I'm a little ignorant of these things. You'll forgive me if I have it slightly askew. But in any case, Ben Stiller wrote a clever sketch. Now, I was stationed right outside the area where they did all the read-throughs. The entire cast and crew and production staff would come together on Wednesday afternoons, roughly 3 o'clock, and they would read through every sketch that had been written up to that point and had been submitted, and the production assistants had typed it all up Tuesday morning into probably Tuesday through Wednesday morning, because they would pull all-nighters on Tuesday and write all these sketches. Wednesday morning, they typed up all these sketches, the production assistants. Wednesday afternoon, the read-throughs. nobody would dress up for these read-throughs. They would just sit at a table, sit on a chair at a bunch of tables pushed together, and they'd sit all around the room haphazardly outside those tables. The tables were reserved for the cast members, the writers, I suppose, certainly the cast members, and the producers, and the host at the head of the table. And I could see all this, like, sort of in a slim view. I could see, like, a portion of it. And I could see Ben Stiller. And I can still see in my mind's eye Ben Stiller reading his sketch that he had written for Dolly Parton, where he plays Bono, the lead singer from U2, where it's a parody of 9 to 5. But instead of it being, based on the original idea of 9 to 5, which is just these ladies working for a living, and it's a crappy boss and all that stuff and what they do, played by the great, who was that actor? Tell me in the comments section below. Dabney Coleman, that's who it was. He was in that film. Fantastic. What happened to Dabney Coleman? He needs a comeback. We need Dabney. If I can get Dabney Coleman on the show, anybody with the name Dabney, if there's anyone, even if it's not Coleman, I want somebody on the show named Dabney. Dabney? Sounds like Dagnabbit. Dabney? I don't know. I'm digressing. You'll excuse me. I'm getting excited. But he wrote a sketch where Bono it starts going on about the working oppressed, as he often would back in the 80s. He was sort of that socially conscious, social justice warrior, if you don't mind me saying so. And though I don't have a clip, because that was just in a writer's meeting, I don't think it even made it on air. Later on, a few years later, Ben got his own show on MTV. It was a sketch comedy show, and I'll tell you a story about that in just a moment. But here's a quick clip from that show with Ben as Bono.
He's very materialistically oriented, and that's not what U2 is about. We're not about the glitz and the glamour, the money and the fame and the power and the touring and the money. Well, maybe we are about that a little bit, but I guess that is what we are about.
Ha ha! At the writers' meeting, though, he had the hat, I believe. I had the boots with the thing and the straps and the leather and the buckles. That's what I remember, anyway. And anyway, moving along, it's time to tell you about our Tuesday teaser. Tuesday teaser. This is where I tease what's coming up on future shows. Tuesday teaser.
Tuesday Taser. Tuesday Taser. Tuesday Taser. Tuesday Taser? Tuesday Taser.
Wait a second. That was a typo. What? Where's my intern? For goodness sakes, I had specifically said teaser. Goodness gracious, you get an exchange student from Schmendricksville, and this is what you get. I'm so sorry, folks. It was supposed to be Tuesday teaser, and now we've gotten the Tuesday taser. I'm so embarrassed. Are my cheeks red? Don't worry, we'll fix it in post. Well, in any case, let's continue on with the program. After all, what are you going to do? So, what do we have next for you fine folks? Throwback Tuesday. Okay, this week for Throwback Tuesday, I'm going to go all the way back to the 1990s to start. I was in a band called Splat with my buddy Michael Bergman, and we were always looking for good cover songs to do. We did my originals mostly and some of his, but I said to him, hey, because back in the day, we had a cassette that a lot of people listened to. You may remember it. It was the TV tunes. It was like the TV theme songs. Back in the day, it wasn't like a 10-second theme song like it is today. Back then, it was like a song, like a well-produced track with horns and different parts. And, you had Mod Squad, for example. Dun, 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 dun. All these, we would marvel at all these amazing songs. And one of the songs that we grew up with, even though it was a cartoon from the 60s, was the Spiderman Theme. I said, Michael, we've got to do that song, because that's like That's of our generation, man, like Ben Stiller had said. In any case, we did that, and Splat only lasted about a year or so, and I continued on playing it at every show almost, and so eventually, around 1999, when my band, The Sound of Monday, fell apart, that version of it, I recorded with the help of a guy named Scott Warren, who was a lawyer, musician guy, great guy, one of the greatest. I've met some great people in my life. I don't know whatever became of him. I assume he's still a lawyer. I hope he's well. If you're out there, Scott, God bless you. I hope you're feeling well. He helped me record this song. I believe I did just about every part. He might have done one sort of like slide guitar part, but this was the demo for the Spider-Man theme. Check it out.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, there goes that Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a cliff? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes that Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of the crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. So Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. As for fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward. To him, life is a great big hang-up. Wherever there's a hang-up, you'll find that Spider-Man.
Oh my God, I'm late. Oh goodness. No, I'm not him. I know what you're thinking because I'm wearing I forgot to take off the. Oh, what? Boy, are my gloves red. In any case, no, I'm not Spider-Man. Peter Parker. That's who you want. He's out in Queens. I'm in Manhattan. Wrong borough, pal. Chum, Buster. In any case, okay. After that demo, of course, I put a band in the name of The Sound of Monday back together. I had originally put The Sound of Monday together in 1996, 1997. Mom said Dabney Coleman played Tom Hanks' father in You Got Mail. Really? Wow. You Got Mail. You know what? Funny story about You Got Mail. I was dating somebody who lived on the Upper West Side. She lived on West End and 85th Street, and there was a movie theater, probably still there, although probably closed now. Thanks de Blasio. You're wonderful. In any case, on 84th and Broadway, and there's a grand movie. Oh, no, wait, I'm digressing. I'm wrong, rather. God almighty, I'm just not really clicking on all cylinders today. The theater we went to see the film You Got Mail in was not the one by her apartment. The one by her apartment was 85th and Broadway. 68th and Broadway. Huge movie theater. Huge. Tons of theaters, this, that, the other thing. We're watching the movie in the theater, one of the many, at 68th and Broadway. And there's a scene in the film where they're in the theater at 68th and Broadway watching a movie. And not only that, they were in the exact same theater. The applause, the audience went mad. It was fantastic. Any case, let's continue on. We've got a few more things to do. We've got to bring the show in for a landing. We have timing issues. We're just going to keep going. I hope you don't mind. Please stick with me. And after the Spider-Man theme demo, I of course wanted to share with you the song that's made me thousands of dollars. Why, it's appearing on Spotify and Apple Tunes and all that stuff. Here is the Spider-Man theme song as recorded by my band, The Sound of Monday, back in around the year 2000. That demo you heard was probably 1999 or a couple years before that. Here's the one that was mastered, so it'll sound a little bit better. Plus, I have a very special guest performing a very interpretive dance for you, so enjoy this.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, there goes that Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes that Spider-Man. The chill of night at the scene of the crime, like a streak of light, he arrived just in time. Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. As for fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang-up. Wherever there's a hang-up, you'll find that spider.
There you have it, Spider-Man, the demo, well, not the demo, the produced version that I did at Mother West Records, released by Mother West Records. Come on back this way. We're over here. Okay, thank you. Now you say to yourself, because you're a fan, you say, goodness gracious, Dave, that sounds fantastic, but what does it sound like without the vocals? You say to yourself, Dave, that's just not enough, that just won't do. We need to hear what it sounds like without the instrumental, but just the vocals.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, there goes that Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes that Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of of the crime. Like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Hey! Spider-Man, Spidey. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. As for fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang up. Wherever there's a hang up, you'll find that Spider-Man. Spider-Man!
You say to yourself, goodness gracious, Dave, how did you get into Spider-Man? How did you get so obsessed with Spider-Man? I can hear your thoughts as I sit here today, and I will tell you very briefly that what had happened was there was this cartoon, as I've mentioned before, from the late 60s, would rerun in the 70s on probably after school mostly, and you'd see these great episodes, and it had that great theme song that I just shared with you. By the way, just as a side note, I was the one singing the high parts in those background vocals. Spider-Man! Because I always fancied myself wanting to do the Brian Wilson thing, so he always sang like that. Anyway, or he didn't talk like that, but he sang like that. When also I was about 10 years old, my cousin Jack Spector had come to my brother's bar mitzvah, and he pointed out, I don't know how this came about, I'll have to find out from my mother later, but Dolores Reed was an agent, a commercials agent in New York City who handled redheads. So my brother and I went. In any case, long story short, I ended up auditioning for, can you believe it, the Spider-Man Energizer commercial. And I remember the experience of going in there, and it was a white background, and they told me to take the doll. It was a doll, had a string that pulled out of the hand, and when you let go of the doll, it climbed up the string. So I didn't get the commercial. And then, being the resentful, problematic child I guess I still am in some way, every time I saw that commercial as a kid after I didn't get it, I was extremely angry. And here's the commercial that they aired. Where is it? Is it coming? It's not? Is that the wrong one? Uh-oh. Wait a second. Live. Give me a second. I'm going to find it. I thought I had it ready here. There it is. Check it out.
It's Energized Spider-Man with Spider Sense. Battery not included. Turn the Spider Sense activator. Red Dragon appears to go into action. Attach the web climber. Flip the switch, and he climbs automatically. Energized Spider-Man. The motorized web. It pulls. It lifts. The Spider Light to climb at night. The Spider Copter sold separately with Spider Sense panel. The power pack turns on the copter.
We want to get the Red Dragon.
Energized Spider-Man with Spider Sense comes with communicator. Spider Copter sold separately from Remco.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, there goes that Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. When I used to perform at cancer centers, they would tell me, don't sing that line, because he has radioactive blood. Is he strong? Listen, bud. The politically correct culture in the 90s, ladies and gentlemen. Look out! There goes that Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of the crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. As for fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang up. Wherever there's a hang up, you'll find that Spider Man. It's pronounced Spiderman. Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was a long I. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to be bringing the show in for a landing, but not before we share with you some Jablamo pop music. All right, one more time with the guitar, the closing song for the show we've been doing every single week since the very first show. It's my message for you folks, for me, for all of us. It's called One Community. Why can't we be one community? Why we always break it in three? Why can't we be one community? I'm talking about you and me. Put down your dukes and pick up the pieces of your life. Put down the nukes and the gun, rope, tongue, missile, bullet, knife. Why can't we be one community? Why we always breaking in three? Why can't we be one community? I'm talking about you and me. Tell me the truth, there's harm in beatings round the bush. Don't turn me to sleuth, 'cause I detect bullshit when shove comes to push. Anyone is someone when there's someone there to need you. You're the one who freed you all the while. Why can't we be one community? Why can't we be? Why can't we be one community? One community. Ladies and gentlemen, mom and dad. Forget boys and girls. Forget ladies and gentlemen. Just you and me, mom and dad. Thank you for tuning in. Love you. Talk to you soon. And I'm going to close with the closing credits that I like to close with for the show. But God bless you. Take good care. I'm grateful for the ability to do this show, however hampered. But I'll be back next week. Take good care till then. Thank you. Good night.